You know that kind of tired that doesn't really go away. You sleep, you take a weekend, you get a little space, and for a moment you feel better, but something underneath still feels heavy. Um, you're functioning, you're doing what needs to be done. Your life might even look fine on paper, but inside there's this steady drain that you just can't shake. And you're starting to realize it's not the kind of tired a nap fixes. If that's where you are, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak, you're not failing at life, you're not the only one who feels this way. High achievers carry this kind of exhaustion most people never see. Right? It's quiet, it doesn't melt you down in public. It just sits beneath the surface and makes everything feel heavier than it should. This is not about how much you're doing. It's about what's happening inside while you're doing it. You can push through physical tiredness, you can push through busy seasons, you can push through pressure. But spiritual tiredness is different. It doesn't respond to effort. You can't muscle your way through it. You can't outplan or outdiscipline it. You notice it in small ways. You hit an accomplishment you thought would mean more. You have moments when you know you should feel grateful, but there's this strange numbness instead. People ask you how you're doing, and then you pause a little too long because you're not sure how to answer without sugarcoating it. You remember seasons when you felt more grounded than you do now, and you wonder when that shifted. That distance you feel is not laziness. It's not a motivation problem. It's not a sign that you need a tighter routine or a louder morning alarm. It's your soul signaling that something deeper needs attention. Most high achievers don't talk about this because on the outside they look put together. They're hitting goals, they're solving problems, they're keeping their commitments. But on the inside, something feels off. There's a slow leak. And no matter how much they accomplish, they still feel drained. And a big part of spiritual exhaustion comes from carrying things you were never meant to carry. Expectations, pressure, responsibility, the belief that everything depends on you. At some point, you start living like you're the one holding your world together. And even if you never say that out loud, your body knows the weight of that belief, and your soul knows it too. Spiritual exhaustion isn't about being weak. It's about being disconnected from the place where your strength actually comes from. When you forget who you are and who you belong to, everything starts to feel heavier. You begin taking on burdens that were never yours. You try to control every outcome. You work harder to outrun feelings you haven't faced. And without realizing it, you start confusing pressure with purpose. That's why so many driven believers double down when they feel spiritually tired. They think they need more structure or more discipline or a better plan. They try to earn their way back into a sense of peace. And then they fill their days with effort and hope it reaches their soul. But effort doesn't restore what only connection can heal. Spiritual tiredness isn't a failure. It's a signal. It's your soul trying to get your attention. It's the part of you that knows you've drifted from the place where you used to draw strength. You're not being punished. You're being invited, right? Invited back to identity, back to presence, back to the kind of trust that makes life feel lighter, even when circumstances stay the same. Now, you might feel it when you wake up already behind. You might feel it when you lie at bed at night and realize you've gone the whole day without feeling grounded. You might feel it when your life is full, but your heart feels distant from it. You might feel it when small things bother you more than they should because you don't have much margin left. Listen, rest helps, but only to a point. Spiritual exhaustion needs something different. It needs renewal and not escape. It needs connection and not performance. It needs a little more honesty than you're used to giving yourself. The soul doesn't heal when you push harder. It heals when you stop pretending you're fine and you get honest enough to let God meet you where you are. This is usually where God does his best work. Not when you're strong and you're confident, but when you're worn thin and finally admitting that carrying everything by yourself isn't working. Tiredness has a way of making you honest, and honesty opens space for God to restore places that you've been ignoring. You don't need a dramatic reset. You don't need a big emotional breakthrough. You don't need to become a different person overnight. Renewal usually begins with something simple. It's a returning, a remembrance. It's not a performance. It's not a spiritual accomplishment. Just a quiet moment where you stop holding everything together and let yourself just be human again. If you want a place to start, keep it small. Take one slow breath in the morning before the world reaches for you. Before you check your phone, before the pressure wakes up, just one moment where you say something simple like, God, bring me back to who I am in you. Nothing fancy, nothing forced, just be honest. The soul responds to honesty faster than it responds to effort. And over time, those small returning moments create space for strength to grow again. And not the kind of strength that you manufacture, but the kind God gives you when you're no longer trying to carry everything alone. If you're spiritually tired right now, remember this: you're not off track. You're not beyond repair. You're not behind. You're being called back to a way of living that doesn't drain you. A way of living where peace leads you instead of pressure. A way where your identity feels settled again. A way where your soul can breathe. And that returning is the beginning of restoration. If this describes you and you don't want to keep carrying it all along, this is the work that I do with high achievers every week. We slow down. We look at what you're actually carrying. And we start building a way of living that's aligned with who God says you are and not what you produce. And if you want that kind of space and support, there's a link in the description where you can schedule a free clarity call with me. We'll talk through where you are, what's draining you, and whether coaching together would be a good fit. And if this helped you, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't have to stumble into videos like this by accident. It tells YouTube this is the kind of content people need, and it helps more people who are quietly tired find a different way forward.